Yes, you get those. You get one free technical support session later in the year. Yeah. I will solve that problem for you in a moment. Alrighty, I'm going to use my big teacher voice, and I'm not texting people, I'm controlling my PowerPoint. So that's why I've got that. This is filming me, not you, because I'm trying to be one of those highly accomplished people, and I'm hoping to get some usable things out of this later. So
we could send you some emails with the impact of
that would be amazing if you have some sort of thoughts about impact of evidence of things. Great. But for now, I don't even know if I'm going to use it. It's just there just in case I want it later, so I can say what you think.
Just so you know, we're here until 3:30, and there were some discussions 3 o'clock where ESOs are 3 o'clock, we're 3:30, just to alleviate any worries around what time everyone's finishing.
And I will do a chunk of talking, but then there will be lots of time during this session to kind of play and to do things, and for me to be able to walk around and you go, Dan, so that I can help you. New people who I haven't met yet, I am Dan. I am the music man and drummer man around here, but I am also all things sector and seesaw and technological. Briggsy tends to be the person who will reset your password and fix your Wi-Fi. I tend to be the person who knows how to set up that app that you like, that you want to use with your class. Today's focus is about sector programming and sector Mark's book. Is it going to work? Yes! Excellent. So, by the end of today, you will have a quick refresher on timetabling and how that works and what it looks like for the old staff. You will just get a couple of quick reminders. Newbies, we will see where your sector access is at. If you've come from another Catholic school, it might not have rolled yet, it might not have been created yet. So anything that you miss or that you can't do, I will support you as a kind of little group on your own to get done what you need. This is more general info. If you can't access it today, please don't panic, because you'll be able to sort of look over somebody's shoulder and get the idea. And nothing that we're doing has to be like a week 1, this must be ready kind of thing. So do not stress about that. I am talking technical things today. So if it's do we have to do this, or I need to have a consultative committee about this, or that is not my area. I am technical, I'm telling you the hows, and the other aspects of that are a discussion for your leadership people, because I don't have those answers for them. You will be able to do programming and have a daybook in sector if you choose to do so. I will give you the general overview of how that works today. I am not telling you you must do those things, I'm just showing you how it is possible, and how to set up assessments in Mark's book, which a few people have dabbled in and a few people are using really well, and I will give you the general overview of that. To give you a bit of an idea of where we are in the sector journey, All Saints was a pilot school. We were on sector kind of about a year before everybody else for reporting, and we were way ahead and did all sorts of things. We changed our templates, we were really, really on it, and then we stayed there. So lots of other schools are at a point where they are already doing this and have been for a couple of years. Lots of other Catholic schools are at the point where they're actually totally parent-facing. They're online, their units are online, their assessments are online, their general comments, the pastoral care comments, are online. We're not there yet. So nothing we do today is live and parent-facing. You might have sort of different things if you know people in other Catholic schools. You might have heard those sorts of things. Please don't panic, none of this is parent visible yet. Keep that in mind as we go. If you need to know how to get to sector, this is the address to go to. If you have access, it will be just your Microsoft login. So new people, please give that a try and see if you can get there. If you can't get on, don't panic, we will sort you. Yes, yeah, big. They might not have that. So, You can access it from any internet connected device. I would strongly advise you do it from your laptop or your school iPad only. And if you can't quite get there, just make sure you can kind of look over somebody's shoulder for now. You can give me a thumbs up so I know you're kind of generally in where you need to be. Anyone who's definitely not, who doesn't have access at all? I know Justin doesn't have it yet. Okay. Cool. As long as you can see for now, that will be okay. This existing All Saints staff, old All Saints staff, you will be familiar with our calendar classes because that is how we've set up for reporting traditionally. In Sector's world, everything is connected to a class. So nothing else is possible until you have created that class. That happens through calendar. That happens, is something that you do manually, which means if you lose children during the term or you gain children during the term, you might need to revisit the calendar to add those children in, and that's something that we usually realise when it comes to reports and we can't see somebody. It becomes more relevant to you now because of the adding Mark's book and programming into it sort of earlier in the piece. I am not doing a full how to do timetabling today. I'm just doing a quick refresher, and then I will work with you in a different session if you would like sort of a bit more one-on-one on how to create your calendar classes. The way that the world works in Sectorland is you have a class, students attached to that class, teachers attached to that class, your program attaches to that class. You've actually already created programs, you've just never done anything with them. It was that button you had to click so that you could have a Mark's book, but now we're going to start to play in that space. Mark's book attached to program, and report cards come out of Mark's book.
Sorry, as a person who shares a class,
Yes.
The role of students is under Kylie. So when I go to create my everything, do I create it under her, or can I be linked to that?
There's a way.
Excellent.
Are you guys the only...
I think we're the only split
Oh,
now.
what about Troy?
Troy and Fiona.
Yeah. So it's totally separate from your role classes. You will have your own, you still have your own thing, but it's just the way you go about adding them to your timetable.
I think we can share it though.
Yes, absolutely. So Tiff and I do that already now. I create all the timetable in my world, and then Tiff kind of adds from a place that already exists. So I'll show you guys separately, but yes, there's a slightly different. So just only one of you if you're creating classes, just one of you, and we'll fix that afterwards. To create a class, and it would be good, you can even just call it training if you're not at the point where you want to create something called English or whatever just yet. Go to the teaching workspace, which is this little ABC icon on the side. Go down to timetable and then calendar. I won't spend a long time on this because it's something that we do every reporting season, so we should be pretty close to there. Click and drag where you want the class to go. New people, do not panic. I will one-on-one this with you. And make sure when you select class, you press the new class button. As more people create classes, what you'll see is this big long list of scrollable classes to click from. Don't click those, because then you are adding somebody else's class that they've created. So every time you create a new subject, you go new class, unless you are a split semester.
Which, sorry, in the drop-down box, which one do we hide? Because so far they've got that grey box that takes up everything. The first one that says part of repair role group.
Oh, because you've got role groups there, yes. So just create it kind of in a little gap next to it, and it'll do like you'll have two. You can actually hide it,
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Which was
Timetable classes,
timetable
yeah.
classes. That's all I was.
If you are a person who likes the pretty colours, and like I know, certain classes are certain colours to me, certain year levels, there's a system. Yes, you'll never guess which year level it was last year. So if you are a colours person, at the top, sort of here-ish, it will say 2 options selected or 3 options selected. Click that and change it to all, and then you will get all the buttons that do the colours and the fun things. Yes.
This is a total random question.
Fire it anyway.
Came to mind. If we are, and it's probably a bit to Cheryl, but because we're doing the levelling of the Playberry, how are we doing that with reporting? Now, it probably doesn't need to be answered right now, but I'm just thinking, because look, I was about to add my English to my timetable. I went, hang on a sec, how are we reporting on that?
There is
So
absolutely a
just
way.
putting it out there.
So part of what we are doing with programs and collaboration and Marksbook and all of those things will mean that for those subjects you need it to happen in, you will be able to access other people's
Yep.
Marksbooks, or you'll be able to pull everybody in your year level if you need to,
Yep.
without millions of clicks. It is currently how Tiff and I grade.
Yep.
So it's a couple of new clicks, but it's simple once it's set up and once you're familiar with it. You do not need to create health and PE because Tom and Jordan will look after that, and I believe you gave your grades at the end of last, was that how that worked? You gave things to Tom and Tom put them in, or Jordan put them in. So do not create a health and PE subject. Yes.
When we are grading health, because sometimes it's a few different activities, and I'd like to have the assessment book on sector, can we link it up to yours, or do we create?
There are ways. I'll talk to Tom about what's going to work best, but absolutely, if we have to, we could create a separate one that doesn't show on reports. That's like here's where I'm putting my things. So there's plenty of ways. I'll just talk to Tom about what's going to work best. Yeah. Plenty of different ways. And when we go through our session today, you'll see how it works, and you'll be able to figure out what works best for you in your cohort. I am moving past calendar classes because we can come back to that, and it's not the focus of our session. But if you're thinking, whoa, hold on, please do not stress. There will be time for me to help you individually. So, from our calendar classes that we have, we've already been familiar with pressing this button, which was just the thing you had to do so that you had a Marksbook. It was just part of the process of creating a timetable. Now it has more of a meaning because it's what allows you to actually do programming. So, we are going to press this little book. If you don't have the little book, make sure you've got all options selected at the top. And you are going to press New Program, and then you should end up there. It is okay to call your class Training and have no students in it.
Dan, where it says timetable period, and then it says
Thanks, Tom. Tom's just pointed out something. If you're looking at this week in sector, you won't be able to create a class, so just push an arrow across to next week, and then the school timetable will flick over because that's the first student day. Yeah, to go across. So just move somewhere in the end of January, beginning of February. And once you get here, just stay here. Trixie's not here, she's the person with how to adjust that.
Now, if it was
Now, yeah. Change the way timetable works, but yeah, because do you like so it'll just be it'll just don't share like if you know you're doing English and Rhiannon can do that and then we'll collaborate and share it. There's other ways to collaborate. No worries. So, job one, create some sort of class. You can put one kid in it, you can put any kids in it. Don't stress about it being real because this is just for training and playing right now. If you want to call it English and put all your children, go for it. But right now it is just have something to play with. If you are a new person, you may not have access to be able to create any of those things. You might be able to get into sector but not see any students. That's okay. And everything we're doing today while I'm talking to you, there will be videos that you can watch later. There will be step-by-step guides that you can follow later. There are lots of copies of all of this. So if it's super, super fast for you, do not panic because it's all stuff you will get. If you are here, can I get a thumbs up just so I know you're in the right place? And when we're kind of mostly there, I'll move on.
Class number to identify a class. So for like, let's say I'm doing year 6
Yeah.
and then it's like 6 whatever.
Yeah.
Do I do just 6G? Do I have to do 6G?
I would do just 6G because you've
Yeah.
already
Is
said
it-
so.
does it-
Like
it does six-
goes
six
yours
lang
will say
first.
6 lang,
Yeah, yeah.
and then whatever the class number is.
I think I'm doing it right. I'm doing
Yeah.
I thought I'd check.
Okay, I'm going to move along, but don't worry, I will catch you up if you're not where you need to be just yet. I just want to give you as much information as possible while I'm here to support you, so that when you do go away, you can play. Very important button on this page, it says hide entirely. Remember how I said to you, it's not online yet. If you push that hide entirely button and I decide tomorrow to flick everything online, this program will not be visible until you choose for it to be. So, press the hide entirely button, which is this little dot down here on that first program page. All that's doing is saying this is not parent facing. It isn't anyway, that part of sector is not turned on, but it's an important button to know. Hide entirely switches sector programming to make sure that your unit plan is not publicly visible. It has those buttons. We don't currently have plans to use them, but it's just a good practice to start from there. I don't actually use this first page for very much, except for whatever I'm calling the title of the subject. This is not where you say space, this is where you say maths. Yeah. There are a few other buttons here. Mark's book settings is one of the ones you may go to, but don't go there yet. Alrighty. We are going to look at the unit planner. I didn't make the boxes, Caesar made the boxes. So if you don't like the boxes, find your nearest Caesar representative that isn't me. They are based on kind of the templates that have been designed that we work with already, and the kind of All Saints Word document is close, and there is some scope to customize them a little bit. So if Cheryl kind of said, okay, this is what we're doing, or this is what we need in this subject, in the back end of sector we can change those boxes.
Where did you go to get the
So to get there, down here, we are going to press Unit Planner. Just on the left-hand side there, next to the Hide Entirely button. No, it's fine. This is where you type space, or countries of the world, or whatever it is that you are calling your unit. This is your Word document that you have that is your kind of 6-week topic focus. There are a couple of different template options, which is this button up here. The ones that say Caesar are the ones that the Caesar people developed. There'll be a few other ones in there, and as we get more familiar with it and our needs change, we will develop ones that fit. So, I mean, I'm not a person who regularly teaches Playberry, for example, but if we needed a custom format so that your planning represented what your existing documents do, that's very doable. It's just a case of identifying that need and creating that. So these are based off of Caesar design templates, and the idea is that you can move within Catholic Ed and your planning requirements are the same, and the boxes you're kind of expected to fill out are the same, and you can read and sort of access the information in the same way wherever you are. So it's being done with a purpose, the same as when we move to reporting. The purpose of everybody doing sector reporting is that everybody in Catholic Ed is kind of doing the same process, same relative workload. There's lots and lots of things that you can do with this page. Don't try to do them all at once. Just fill in a few little boxes that make sense to you, that are easy copy and paste things, and as you go, add more. Please don't think, all right, tomorrow your whole unit plan must be here and ready, and I've got a couple of videos to show you as well that will kind of be a bit more of an in-depth how to do all the things. Some of the boxes are type the thing in. Some of the boxes are things that I've never used the entire time I've been at All Saints, and it's just a box that is blank to me because it's not a thing that I need in my template. And some of the boxes have this little plus. If they have a little plus, that usually means you can pull something out of the curriculum. So it will allow you to select an achievement standard, or a content descriptor, or the literacy numeracy progressions, or there's a whole lot of things that are kind of plugged into sector. When it's got a little plus, it means you can kind of drop it in. So it's that copy and paste stuff that you would do where you went off to Akara and grabbed the little bits that you need and dropped it into your unit plan. That just now exists here. When it shows up here, it will just show the code, but if you do print the unit plan, it pulls the whole shemol. This is a Caesar created help video. I will show you where you can get
Within
it
Sector,
later.
you are able to create unit plans associated with particular programs. To do this, you will need to access the Teaching Workspace. This is accessed by selecting the Blackboard icon on the left-hand side of the screen. When in the Teaching Workspace, you may choose to access your program directly from your timetable if you have attached programs for your timetable classes, or alternatively, you may select List of Programs. When you select List of Programs, you are then able to scroll down and find the program that you wish to edit. Open your program. and from here you will see this section called Unit Planner. Within the Unit Planner, you will be presented with the option New Unit Plan. You will notice that on the right hand side of the screen you have a selection of different boxes for you to complete. Start by giving your unit plan a title. This is entered in this box here. You are then able to identify which weeks the unit plan will run from. Where there are shared classes using the same program, the same unit plan will appear for both classes. However, you are able to differentiate between them in terms of the weeks that they run for. This means that you and another teacher do not need to teach the unit at the same time. For example, with this one, I would be able to select the class, which you can see I have done here. I would then be able to select that this might run from week 3 to week 6. Another teacher may choose to set this differently. You are then able to select the appropriate template. CESA has loaded 2 templates for you to use. One is called the Australian Curriculum Unit Plan. The second is an Integrated Australian Curriculum Unit Plan. This one can be used when designing units that integrate different learning areas of the Australian curriculum. Both plans are very similar in appearance. I'm going to access a plan that has already been constructed. If I select this plan, you will notice that we have selected Australian Curriculum Unit Plan. This particular plan runs from week 1 to week 2, and a colour has been selected here. The colour can be changed at any point. This colour is important as it links directly into the planner space, so you are able to see how the unit plan aligns with different lessons. We will look at that more deeply when we look at planning. You can see here that there is now information in each of these boxes. In the first box, you are able to attach the Australian curriculum content descriptors that are relevant to this particular unit plan. To do this, you will select the plus icon, and then you will select the learning area you wish to focus on. Within that, you will be able to select sub-content. In doing this, you are able to further refine to the year level that you wish to select the sub-content from. Then, select which of the content descriptors you wish to add to the program. When you have done this, you will select Save and they will now be attached to your program. In the year level box, simply record the year level the program is associated with. Under Learning Area, record the learning area from the Australian curriculum. In the integrated unit planner, you will be able to add multiple learning areas. The next provides space for you to record the context statement. If you are unsure what any of the boxes mean, there is a question mark icon that you can select. When you select this, it provides a guide in terms of what sort of information should be placed in each of the boxes. As you scroll down, you will notice that there are additional boxes for you to complete, such as big ideas, essential questions, learning intentions, the assessment criteria that will be assessed throughout this unit. This comes from the Australian Curriculum Achievement Standard, the general capabilities, cross-curriculum priorities, prior learning, differentiated instruction strategies, and assessment for and as learning strategies, as well as assessment of learning tasks. Each of these boxes can be directly typed in. With the assessment of learning tasks, you may wish to link these to assessments that you have added to your program. If you haven't yet done this, you will be able to come back at any point and link these in. To do this, you will want to expand the box. When you expand the box, it gives you the option of inserting the assessment. Simply select Insert and then Assessment. Here, you will see the assessments that have been added to this program. This particular assessment applies to this unit, so I'm going to select this and press OK. I am then going to return the box to the smaller size by selecting this button here. You can now see that that assessment task has been linked. Finally, you will notice that there is a space for reflection. This can be completed after the unit has been taught or during. You are able to record notes and changes that you may wish to make for future teaching of this same unit. If you have files that apply to the entire unit, you are able to add these here. If they apply to specific lessons, you may be better leaving those for the planning space. Your unit plan will automatically save as you complete this. If you wish to add a new unit plan, simply select New Unit Plan and start to fill in the details. You are also able to print unit plans from this space. To do this, you will simply select Print. This will then give you the option of printing all plans within the program or just the currently selected plan. When you do this, it will produce a PDF document for you to save.
Okay, so I will remind you, the boxes that are there are Caesar's starting point, and some of them apply in our context and some of them don't. The idea of these templates is that they become localized as the need indicates. So at the moment, we are starting from a default kind of Caesar design template based on general good teaching practices and what lots of people seem to be doing. But if we need an extra box because our All Saints unit plan has always had that box and it needs to be there to include some other type of questioning or assessment or strategies, that's very creatable. It's a couple of clicks in the background from Cheryl or from myself, and we can create that.
I was going to say, what about, you know how last year you asked us to use those Caesar templates, lesson plans?
Like the assessment.
Yeah, the assessment template. Yeah. Can we just if we've done that, can we just upload
Yes.
just that instead of
It's the
putting
same,
it
I
in
believe
each?
you can also just upload it for existing unit as
Yeah.
well. As an attachment, correct?
Yeah.
As a starting point.
So, as a starting point, when I began programming in Sector, my unit plan said Year 5 and music, and it had, if I could find it, the curriculum button. And then I pressed Add File and attach my nice Word document, and that was it.
And is that
So that is a safe starting point, I think, for everyone. But you can sort of see like, why we're being asked to do, that the spreadsheet with the drop-down boxes, that's like a stepping stone towards using those,
Yeah.
skilling us up to understand what the componentry is, so that ultimately everyone will be paying to do that. But as a starting point, if you've got those assessments already prepared, if you've got those unit plans already there, put your basic info in and add your file.
It's a phased process, so it's not going to be like tomorrow everything must be copied and pasted, but it's that idea of if you're writing something new, you might start here instead of your Word document.
So in regards to the, where it's got learning outcomes and assessment criteria being assessed, is there no drop down box that you can select your?
Depends on the template, but it's customizable. All of those things can be manipulated.
So you can actually do a drop down box and just
Yeah.
select rather than copy.
And there are different parts of Sector that and this sort of planning process that do things differently. So for the overall unit planner, it might not be there, but it could be there on a lesson, or there's lots of little fiddly moments. And when I know what different groups need, we can go, yes, we need to activate that here. And if it's not there now, it's just because it's not on the default template. Most of those things can be plugged in. If they don't exist, the curriculum is there in the back of Sector, so it can be added. It just might not be there right now.
Yeah, just not.
Okay, so like I said, please don't panic if you're looking at a box and going, but I never have any big ideas in my unit plan, because it's a default template. This is not the time to upload your Word document and go, I'm done. This is the time to play. This is the time to kind of push a few buttons on that unit planner, experiment with the colours, make sure it looks the way that you want, push the buttons. Remember, it saves automatically, at least on this screen. But push a few buttons and have a play. You have 5 minutes. I will go here and there. Nailed it. If you need me, just yell.
Can you help me find
Fine. Ah, yes. Time to stop time. That's mine gave up, so I keep getting it. It's not there yet. But yes, so like if you're doing time, I'll create it. Stop that.
and meeting room.
You just need to be going into
Yeah. Yeah. From wherever your work document is. Yeah, because learning intentions could be like we will.
Just while we're on that.
No, it's creative. It's difficult because when they first do their sector on the map, so when they're ready to do it, something. But all of us. Yes. Yes, it's a timetable plus. So when you click on timetable classes, that's something that's going to do. Okay, lovely people, if I can gather your attention, there will be plenty of time to keep playing, so I'm not stopping you from doing what you're doing, and to be honest, I don't mind if you're subtly clicking while I'm going. Your laptops can be open, but I do want to move forward so that we go through all the things we need to go through, and then if you want to spend 1,000,000 hours making your colours beautiful, that's what you use your time on, but then I've delivered what you need. So the next thing we're going to look at is the planner. Planner is sort of a bit of everything. It is your yearly overview, it is your term overview, it is your day book, it is your weekly overview, it's everything all in one, depending on what your needs are. So you don't have to put in huge, like, individual lesson plan details in planner. You could if you choose, but it's sort of about what works for you. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on planner because I want to spend the bulk of our time on Mark's book, but I am going to show you the basics so that you know that it's there and how it works. If you go to timetable and my day, once you have set up planner and put things in there, it will give you subject by subject, like a day book, everything that you've got. It can print that for a TRT, so when I'm not here, what I do is go print, and it will print my lesson plans or my day book or whatever it is for the day, for the week, for whatever period it is. If I am really, really sick and I can't print that off and send it, anybody can get to it and print it for you. So Megan or Cheryl Lee or whoever, to be honest, any teaching staff can access it, print it off, there's your notes. A lot of the time, I just do headings. So there are lots of buttons because it's been designed for people who are planning like step 1 of the lesson, introduce the topic, step 2, you know, that kind of scripty, very early teaching kind of full lesson plan. You don't have to do that. Quite often, I will just say something like, Boom Whackers lesson 2. Or, you know, pitch year 3s refer to other unit. Something like the same little things you do in your little boxes in your teacher diary. Go to the next thing, please. Screen.
There are different spaces that can be used within Sector to record your lesson plans. We will look at each of these briefly and focus mostly on the planner section. When you navigate through your program, you will notice that there is a section here called Planner. If you select the planner, you are presented with a planning space. Here, you may see nothing if you have not added your lessons. If you add all of the lessons that you have timetabled, you are able to simply select Add All. If you wish to simply add a week at a time, you may select Add Week. If this is a timetabled program, then every week and every lesson that is attached to that particular program will appear. If this is an untimetabled program, you will simply need to select Add Week and then add individual lessons as you wish. You will notice in this space that there are a few different options on each of the lesson pages. Here, you can see that there is an arrow. This arrow is used to expand or shrink the lesson. If I select this arrow, you are able to see what has been recorded for this lesson. If this is a new lesson, this will appear blank and you will be able to enter details. Here, you will see a bin icon. This is so that you can delete the lesson if you do not wish to have this as part of your program. The paper icon allows you to clone the lesson. This means it copies everything that is in the lesson and the original lesson will be preserved. The original lesson is sent to the unused lessons section in the lesson organiser and can be accessed as needed. This is good if you are sharing a program with someone else and you wish to make a change but do not want to affect their lesson. This landscape page is for you to record notes. These are for the teacher to view only. These are not seen by students and parents.
None of ours is seen by students and parents, so don't worry about that.
Here, you will have an icon which will take you to the assessment page. This means you can add assessments directly to lessons if you wish.
We're getting there.
This icon here is exceptionally important if you are sharing a program. If the number 0 appears, this means that whatever you record in this lesson will only be seen by you and your class. If there is a number in this section, you need to be very careful. This means that if you write in the lesson, it is shared with somebody else and they will also see what you write. As you're setting up programs, you may wish to have this enabled. However, if you do not wish to have this and you wish to make a change to the lesson that doesn't affect somebody else, I would recommend that you use the cloning function. When you do this, it will preserve the original copy and then you will see a 0 appear, meaning that you can make changes without affecting anybody else. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the different spaces where you can record lesson details. Then we will return to the planner section. This planner section is very useful for when you're beginning to plan a program of work. So if you're planning a program at the start of a year, start of a semester, or even as you're beginning to plan a set unit of work before you start teaching, this is a good place to do that. If you are wanting to plan lessons in the online lesson editor, you would simply select online lesson editor.
We don't need to do that because we're not
Here,
student facing.
you are able to access the lesson and then you are presented with a canvas that you are able to add details to. There is a separate instructional video for online lessons. The other space that is particularly useful in planning is when you access your timetable. Within your timetable, you will see this tab called My Day. You can think of the My Day function as if it were your physical teacher diary. Each of the lessons that have been timetabled will appear here for that day. You are able to change the date, to go back and forward. When you access the My Day function, you are able to start planning lessons directly from this space. You can skip forward a week or back a week. And when you click onto your lesson, you will be presented with a canvas where you can actually record your information directly into this space. If you have determined that you will build your programs as you go, then this is a really good place to work. It means that you can plan out your day at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of a week, or a couple of weeks in advance from this particular space. You are also able to access the online lesson space if you wish, and you are able to add in things like homework to this space by directly typing into this. When the lesson has been delivered, you can also tick this box. However, this is not necessary all the time. Some of these sections are able to be seen by students and parents, and others will never be visible to them. You will notice here that this says, "This is visible now." This means that students and parents would be able to see this if they had access to Sector Learn and Engage. The same with the lesson plan. However, over here you will see that Essential Learning is never visible. This means that any information you record in this space will only be visible to you and other teachers in your school. The lesson notes also appears in this way. You will notice that the resources also says never. This can be controlled by you. This is about the restrictions that you set on the cover page. So because this program has been established to hide resources, this is why this says never. If I were to change that, this would say now. I'm going to return to my program and access the planning space. When you are planning a lesson, you may choose to expand the entire week. To do this, we've selected this arrow here. This drops down each lesson so that you can start recording information into this space. You will notice that in this first box, there is already some information recorded. I have recorded the learning intention for the lesson and the success criteria. I have then recorded the learning plan for that particular lesson. To do all of this, I simply selected the Edit Lesson Plan icon. This provided a space that I was able to then type directly into. When I was finished, I selected Save. If I wanted to attach syllabus links to the lesson, I would simply select the plus icon. This would then take me to the curriculum, and I would be able to select the sub-content that I wish to add to my lesson. I'm also able to add resources by selecting the Add Resource button here. Here, I can search for files and add them directly to my lesson. I can add web links as well.
We won't get to that
When I've
stage
finished
yet.
planning this lesson, I might want to shrink that to move on to the next one. To do that, I would simply select this arrow here. You can see that it shrank the rest of my lesson.
All right. So, like I said, when I started, sometimes I just put pitch or rhythm or whatever the kind of lesson title was, and I did not go to that huge, big detail of all the nitty-gritty of the lesson planning. We're kind of not at that yet. You might just do your headlines if you're starting to play with Daybook. At some point down in the future, this would be, instead of putting your PowerPoints in the file in the place in Teams, they would go in. We're not there yet, so you put your PowerPoints where you want them to be or where your instructions are to put them, but this is kind of the space that we're starting to play in.
And one of the benefits of this is if I am sick and I'm going to be away and I'm exhausted having to think about what I'm going to leave for a reliever, Megan and I can just go to your sector and look at what lessons you were going to do that day and print the lesson out. Sarah, what did I just say?
I was just going to say that's before up.
No, basically the benefit is, so what we can do for specialists at the moment, because they're using this, is if they're away on a given day and if they're really unwell and they don't want to write copious notes for what they're going to do with every task, we can actually access Sector. I had to call Dan to tell me how to do it when I was doing that one day, but it was Tom because you're on a carnival or something, but I was able to go to Tom, see what he was meant to be doing that day. It had the lessons that he was going to be doing that day, and I could print that and give that to the reliever. So the note that it saved, ultimately, even though it's a lot of work up front, it means that at those times when you're not going to be there and if you're really unwell or if an emergency happens, we could just go in and bam, whatever you were going to do could be printed out and there's continuity of the lesson
And
program.
once they're up there, we can roll them over to the next
Yes.
and then just make minor adjustments and
Yep.
tweaks. So it is a lot of work, but then it reduces our workload in the future.
Like,
And we're not doing Hollis Bolus, we're not requiring all of that yet, but we just want to start dabbling.
I always teach a ukulele unit somewhere in the Year 4 curriculum, and I wrote it once and I just roll it. It brings all my assessments with it, it pre-populates everything that I need, and then I just change individual lessons as I need.
Dan, because I'm assuming you like plan out your lessons for the term,
Mm-hmm.
if something comes up like it's class maths or something like that, are you easily able to slot that in and it
Yep.
shoves everything down?
There's a button called Lesson Organizer, which I haven't showed you because we're not at that level yet. But if you're playing there, it's on the left. You've got, I think it's planner, like unit planner, lesson organizer. Once you've got all your titles in, and like literally just titles is all you need, it's drag and drop. So like quite often what happens is I will lose a class to an assembly, and I will literally just pick it up and go, now it's in week 4 instead of.
But like if I shift it to week 4, does it then shove
Everything else goes.
down?
Boop. So you can just pick up that whole week and drop it.
Yeah.
And for you, if you are just starting to play, it might be a bunch of titles and nothing, no syllabus links and lesson plans and all of that. It will just be week 1, start reading project. Week 2, continue reading project. Whatever it is that you have, build it slowly. The specialists have been doing it for a couple of years. So we are at the point where we have all the bells and whistles. But when we started, it was like scary. And the other thing is, if you're playing with it and you're pushing buttons and you go, okay, I don't need this anymore, I'm going to delete it. Oh no, where's my PowerPoint and planning and have something offline while you're learning and while you're playing. Have a kind of not sector version of what you're doing, just in case, because you just don't know what's going to accidentally happen. Have a backup. Better to be copying and pasting from somewhere and playing and have your kind of good copy or your main copy. Have a moment to play. Again, I'm moving you really quickly because I want to get to the last kind of big chunk, which is Mark's book. But just push some buttons in there, have a bit of a play for 5 minutes, and then we'll move on. It will get like it's normally the way sector rollover works is you don't need it. So lovely people, because we're not going into huge detail with the planner, it's just a play. If you choose to dabble, absolutely go for it. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to send you the things that you need. I use it like a day book, and I tend to find, I mean for me I'm teaching the one subject so it flows a little bit easier, but I tend to edit if I am doing lesson detail through my day rather than through that kind of lesson planning screen, because I look at it and I go, right, Monday, and sort of think that way. So do what works for you. If you want help, I will help you. Generally speaking, that's going to be an after school or a before school thing. I do have time allocated on a Monday, but you will be teaching in that time. So maybe if you do need that extra support, organise with your leadership person, potentially if release is available on a Monday, and I can come and do a little session with you and help you do what you need. The kind of focus that we're really thinking about for planning is unit planner. That first one that we looked at, where you are starting to put in your general overview of your space topic, not lesson 2, week 2, here's all the things. All right. I know it's a lot after a lot of information dump and your brain is exploding, and I promise this is my last info dump, after which whatever remaining time we've got will be for you to play or do as you need to do. So, Mark's book is something that we are moving towards, even if we are not doing all the details of the planning. Mark's book is something that we're going to be getting stuck into a little bit more. You already have experience with most of these buttons because you use them for reporting. The bit that we're adding is previously you've gone into Mark's book and you've gone down to the purple section at the end and put in your grades at the end of the term. Now we are going to be dropping in some assessments, creating some of our own, where you can say, okay, this is my spelling test scores, or here's my scores for the speaking and listening, or whatever it is that, you know, are those things. I'm going to show you how to create that. What you actually end up putting in there will depend on your year levels requirements and what you've kind of agreed and your agreed practices, but I'm just showing you from a technical perspective how to create an assessment, and then you can stress about how many assessments you're going to create later. This is just the technical side. So, you need to go to Program, which is there on that left-hand side, and down to Overview of Assessments, and then press Mark's Book Settings. That should give you a screen that looks something like this. This is an important button to do now and not later. If you are a reception teacher, this is where you tell it that you are beyond at below standard. This is where that gets configured. So you might already be familiar with that. This button here, which I think will be set to marks based for you by default, set it to mixed mode. That means that when you are creating your assessments, you have the choice. You can decide if you are doing purely numerical scores, or like quite often for me, it's just a grade letter. I would look at it and go, this is satisfactory, it's just a C. So sector can have both. and you can have a mixture, or you can have all, like it's how you work. If you are a person who scribbles things down on your roll grid, you can do this. If you are a person who has a complicated Excel spreadsheet with everything beautifully put, you can do this. This is just what you already do inside of Sector, tied to our existing student systems. Make sure it's set to mixed mode, and that should flick in this A to E kind of grading. If you press template, you'll see there's a couple of options there. One of them is highly personalised curriculum. No students that I'm aware of are on that at the moment. That's when instead of a grading system, they are like an A to E, they're graded 1, 2, 3 or 4, but there's an option in there to do that. Receptions, A to E grading. This is also where things like insufficient evidence and those kind of categories are added in. The percentages come from Catholic Ed around how they decide what a C and a B. I don't do those, that's just...
But you can adjust them.
Yes, you can, based on whatever you need to do, but the default ones are just picked by Catholic Ed. So everything which is like, why is it this way? Or our B is 82.7%. We can change all of that. This is default settings based on what the bulk of Catholic schools were doing when they created it.
Should it be consistent across the school?
Yes.
So people should really change it.
Yeah, and we can globally set that.
Yeah.
So even if you change it, we can still go, actually no. It's, a B is 32.6%.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, assessment groups are also on this screen, and assessment groups are useful if you are like, yes, I love this, I'm going to dive in, and I'm going to create like 1,000 things in here. Assessment groups are really useful for visually blocking different things. So if you want all your 2s a day to live in one little section, create an assessment group for 2s a day. If you have a whole bunch of things that belong to like one particular area, like if you're breaking up reading versus writing versus speaking and listening, but you can do it like that. However you do your fancy spreadsheet now or your bit of paper now, that's where assessment groups is. That's not where you put the like specific assessment name, that's where you put the overall category of assessments. So that's that. Don't use it for subtasks within an assessment, that's a different button. There will be lots of time to play with this because this is the bulk of our, like what's left of our afternoon. Once you have set those Markbook settings, I'm pretty sure this is one of those ones where you have to press save up in the top right hand corner, it is. Once you've pressed that, we're going to look at that how to create an assessment screen. It should take you straight out to it, to a screen that looks something like this. I've given you just a little snip. Remember, Sector has lots and lots of buttons because it is a system that has been designed for schools to plug in what they need. So there are many, many, many options we do not use with our assessments. This might be where you scroll down the bottom, push add files, and drop in your the templates that, you know, the kind of Caesar assessment templates that, for example, TIFF, this is where we would put those documents you're creating. So if you've got a special Word document from somewhere that your year level has to use when you create an assessment, it could go in here. If you've got extra files you want to attach about templates and proformas and rubrics and things, it could go in here. There are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of buttons. Please don't get overwhelmed. This marks versus grades is telling Sector whether you want to grade with numbers for this task or whether you want to grade with letters. This is where you go 2s a day, or first section of the writing assignment, or I don't know, introduction paragraph, all the different categories within your assessment, and you can add lots and lots of them. There is a very long video that I'm actually going to skip for time reasons, but here is where you can set the numerical value of the total score. Sector will magic that into a grade letter percentage when you put in the scores. There are rubrics. you don't have to use the rubrics yet, and I would suggest if you're just dipping your toes at the moment, you don't. But in those rubrics, all of the CESA performance standards are preloaded for every subject for every year level. So you can go straight into those and just live kind of click through the rubric and it will calculate it for you. You can create your own rubrics. You can import ones that you already have. If you've got the one that you use every year when you do your speaking and listening, you can drop that in there. If you grade with a smiley face and a star icon and a fairy wand, you can create, like, not all of the rubrics have to be grade based or number based. You can make it fit your world. It then becomes easy for you to share that with other teachers, to put it in the kind of All Saints library of things that are available, so that when you switch year levels later and the new person comes in, they can go into the library and go, click, in comes this assessment. If you teach year 5 for 70 million years and you always do the same English assessment in term 3, you can pull that out of the library. So these things roll with your program, they roll with your class, the children change, but you can kind of pull the bits out that you need without copying and pasting the whole program. Go, oh yeah, I loved that when we did the Storm Boy thing, let's redo that again, and pull that assessment. I'm not going to show you the video because it goes forever. I'm just going to give you the moment to play for just a moment, and then we will move on. So have a little play with the assessments. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So are you sharing like your whole English, or are you sharing English? Yeah. So to do the assessment, you have to share the program itself. That is under collaboration settings. So you can copy and drop it on Joe's YouTube bus. You can share it. Yes, everything. If you want just the rubric, because you can't pull just an assessment, you can do the program, or you can do the rubric within the assessment.
Is that the website we have to
So, Joe, this one. And Joe creates her assessment. So if you're in 2 separate Marks book worlds, she can do just the rubric. So if you are like, here's my whole English program, you can do that too. We can set it up, we're not, because we are not yet at the point to have the collaboration settings, but it is possible. And what you can do is, alright, I did English, here's the English program, and then Joe kind of goes over here because her class has those things. Yes, for yours, you kind of have the same starting document, and it does that. That's more complicated.
Okay, second question, how do I then mentally
So when you walk into the class, where we are in time. So then you do number 1. And that's the grade, and just type in there. So it is a drop down box as well. Yeah. So the more, like, if you add criteria within the assessment, it'll be very box. If this is the title of the assessment,
when it comes to
yes, I do.
You might want to sit back down.
Okay. Broken up already?
No, I just want to sort of, obviously I've appeared last year.
Yep.
I wanted to say deeper last year's assessment. He said he doesn't already got them under my name. They would be passed to
So we would go share.
Oh wait.
I'm not going to share it now.
Okay,
but
I was going to say,
you-
go to the normal reception.
like whoever it is, you do it, you click on them, you people that you want it to be on, and then you either copy it or share.
Okay.
So copy is like, it's totally separate, but it's new.
So list of programs, and I probably click
Set
25.
25.
And then I'm thinking up here. Share it. Will that work? Yeah. So let's
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not actually anything like this background's not even my background.
Um,
I went typing something
how long since you restarted?
just
Just restarted? But it exists in the world, it's just, because it's in the cloud, it's just that where all that stuff is living and you're like,
So I found the 3.
Yeah.
And then if I put it, sorry, I'm just thinking about it. If I put it onto one of them and then go share.
yeah, so I would copy it onto one new class
And
and
then I
then
can
share it
to those.
to school.
So I clicked on Tom, it's like and it's only got copy there.
Yeah, because you didn't create it, so you can't share it. So you can copy it and then you'll be able to share that copy.
So if I go copy it, it'll send it across.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
copy goes here, I'm putting this here, now it belongs to you, and then you can share it out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It won't. So. So where's the good one? Where's the point where you're happy with this? So I would go here and I would delete everything.
The other one was.
No, you just go so when you delete that, you go this and everything and it will kill everything. So this will be consistent.
Copied one thing over to one of them.
Yeah.
Copy or share?
Copy the first one and then share the others. So like you copy it from last year's year 3 to one new year 3 class, and then you share it to the other. Nothing.
Okay. Okay.
OneDrive will still exist in the cloud.
Yeah.
So if you go like office.com and go like through that way, your OneDrive will still be there.
Is that like where you go through your email?
Yeah.
And go up here.
And then go up there. Yeah. So your everything's still there. It's just not syncing.
Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. And what I say to Ricky is,
Profile is not syncing. You didn't say Dan told me my profile's not syncing. Alright, I'm going to use that bell as our 5 minutes. Remember, this is playtime, not like you must finish doing this program now. So, I am just going to point out a couple of things for you. Press save a lot. If it's got a save button on it, it means Sector's not doing it automatically. So make sure you press that save button lots and lots and lots, or you will lose your things. Double check when you're changing something. At the moment, we are starting to play, but what you will find is if you don't look carefully, you might, for example, edit someone else's class while we're all still figuring out the buttons. You might have gone into somebody else's program and edited that. Before you delete anything, make sure you have a backup or a printout or a copy of that, or there's quite a few people who have really dabbled in it quite a lot. You've got someone, a kind of knowledgeable other, floating around just to help you if you are cloning things or sharing things or copying things. It's a bit messy when you don't quite understand what the flows are. After a while you get used to it, you're like, oh yeah, I understand how Sector's brain thinks. But just keep in mind that while it is not currently parent-facing, one day some of these things could be. So when you're planning that, if you need extra support, there are lots and lots of online guides on how to do these things step by step by step. So if you are like, yes, I love this, I'm going really nuts on it, I can send you all of those guides. If you are absolutely overwhelmed, step 1 is start to dabble. Start to push some of the buttons, have a look at who's doing what, and if you are the person who's doing HAS for your year level, just do HAS. Don't worry about collaborating and sharing and all. Just make your HAS program in there or upload some things, and we will help you one-on-one to do all the complicated bells and whistles if that's what your cohort wants to do.
I was just sitting with the year 4s and they realised that because they started to do their unit plans in second semester last semester, that the second semester this year they're fine. They're just going to be able to move that across and it's done. So it's you know, the more you do it and the more you dabble, the easier it will become moving forward, and then next year's plan becomes a lot easier. I think St John's already doing the planning and assessment inward facing, and then I spent all the time at Emmaus and they've actually opened up to the parent facing as well. Not for everything, there are certain assessments that they open up and the parents get the results as well. So it's sort of in stages, that's what we're wanting to work towards.
If you want to see the part where you've created your assessment and now how do you put in your results, that is Mark's book, which is where you already go to do reports. The difference is now that you have created an assessment, it will exist in Mark's book for you to put numbers or letters into.
Or to completely ignore and still just give the grades.
Yeah. So at this point, our expectations are kind of dabble, not like suddenly switch all things. There are schools within Catholic Ed who are doing things like you have one assessment per subject per term that goes up there for parents to see. We are not there yet for some time. We are play, learn, experiment, find out what works. So please do not, absolutely go there if it works for you, and I will help you do that, but don't feel like we are flicking the switch and you must suddenly have everything in full Sector mode. Keep a backup somewhere. Have your handy flash drive, have it saved to your OneDrive, have your bit of paper with your notes on it. But just like when we moved to reporting and people did it and then they lost it because they weren't sure, and make sure you have an offline something, a backup Word document, a copy in Teams, whatever it is you do that works for you already, keep doing that on the side, just so that you have it as you dabble, you've got the backup just in case. You are new at it, you will break it, that's okay. You can change things after the fact, so you can add assessments. You can change it from grades based to number based, which is something I do all the time. But it is complicated if you've already, so if you've created the assessment and you've got student data in there and then you go, oh, actually, I would like to add another category to this assessment task. That's trickier. You can make a whole new assessment, that's fine. That's very easy. But once there's already data in there for that assessment that you've created, that's a bit more complicated. I have one little slide on collaboration, and that's because this is a long way down the track unless you are our year 14. And you can share programs, you can share assessments, you can copy rubrics across. There are lots of different ways to do things. I'm not teaching you how to do those things now, and I would ask you not to play with those settings unless I'm kind of guiding you there, because if you don't go about it the right way, you can duplicate classes or programs, or it can get quite complicated and quite messy, and then when we go to print your reports, there'll be like 17 HASS classes that show up on your report card. So absolutely, yes, you can collaborate. If you're there and you've got your marks book and it's beautiful and perfect and you want to share, I will help you do that. But please ask for that help so that I can guide you through, because it's a little bit more complex of a process. All right, Miss Jack, would you mind, you could just stand where you are if you like and just sort of tell us what you have been doing.
So last year, Rhiannon and I made it in our goals that we've had to start putting more of our assessments on sector. Poor Ben had to come along for the ride, and he did it as well with us. So he inherited our goal. So what we did was, if we were planning a topic, it was our job to go into sector and add in the assessments for that term. And then what that gave to us was that we were able to share that with each other, so I didn't have to do all of that work for all the subjects, only the ones that I was planning. At the end of the semester, when it came to reporting, it basically told us what our mark was. So we sat down and we worked out, okay, so out of all of the literacy assessments, what percentage are we giving to each of them? So it did that for us. So if we decided this is a big one, we want that to be 50%, whereas this one's not as important, that's 20%. We made it up to 100, and then we basically just plugged in the marks and it told us where that child was at. We found that most of the time for most students, it pretty much was where we would have done it anyway. There are only a few that we went, oh, maybe that's not their grade, but basically it did a lot of that work for us. We were able to then also, for this year, look at, okay, well, in say semester 1 and semester 2, which, like where do we need to teach things to make sure there's enough assessment for each of those, areas. So that helped us out as well. Is there anything else that came about? It wasn't that hard to do. We were a bit daunted, and Ben was like, are you kidding me? You're going to make me do this?
I was just figuring out how much like the weighting of like each
Yeah.
assessment would be, making sure it's, is that small assessment going to be worth 25, 15, making sure it all adds up.
Adding the rubric was amazing.
Yeah.
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 Adding the rubric was
Oh, yeah,
Some of the
that's
rubrics
as well.
didn't relate
Yeah.
to it, so you had to change it and manually put it in.
Yeah, but also once the rubric's in
Yeah.
there, you can save it in there, so you can pull it anytime. And when it comes to marking, we would just, like, you just go on and it's like tick, like this one, this one, this one, this one, done.
Yeah. Once it's done,
Yeah.
so tough.
Did you use the pre-loaded rubrics? Like
No.
or you created your own rubric based
For
on
most of it, we
rubrics?
created our own,
Yeah.
just because then we were able to manipulate it and have it in language that was going to make sense to us and the students.
Yeah.
But for some of the subjects, we had a sector rubric for us and a student worded rubric for them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
different
very
topics
wordy.
with different ones.
The rubrics are on there. They're very
Yeah.
wordy.
They're all curriculum.
And it's a lot to sift through, and yeah.
It's
But
a
I think
really
the
lucky
religion ones on there, because they're straight from CISA, are quite good.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about like did you use things like Playberry data and stuff as part of it or not?
Yeah. Yeah, so we had the Playberry tests, I think part word tests and the spelling test were part of our literacy grade. But again, when we sat down, we went, okay, so that's going to be 10%, then reading's going to be this. Literacy's the hardest, because, and that's why what triggered me in one of those staff meetings to say, can we have a bit of a school-wide consensus on, you know, what percentage is reading, writing, spelling for our literacy grades.
Because
Yeah.
the very first time we did it, we got to the end of it.
And we were like,
whoa, those grades are way too high. That's not good.
You will always be able to manually like it will calculate things for you because it's designed to do that, but it will never force what it's calculated into your report. You can still choose, you can use your teacher's discretion, be like, yes, I know it says you're a B, but actually you're a C, and you can just make it a C.
What it also did for us, sorry to interrupt, is that inadvertently it actually made us think a little bit more about assessment and how we were actually giving B's and A's, and then we linked that to the, what are the words? Shirley? Yeah, no, but you know the explain, justify, or evaluate. So then we were able, yes, cognitive verbs, we were able to then go to those and look at that in our rubrics and work out, okay, so if we want them to explain what does that look like, and we'd have little like examples for ourselves. So if Ben wasn't doing, say if I did HAS, Ben could look at that and go, oh, okay, so if they're justifying, they're giving this type of an example, and then you can just tick yes, they justified.
And because anyone's so clear on it, when you sit there with the year fours and say, so if you want a B or an A, this is what you're doing, all of these kids in the class would just sit up and be like, oh, that's me. All right,
I love that.
I do use it with the kids. You can put the sector screen up there and show them, and quite often they'll go, oh, so if I get an E here and an E here and an A for Miss Tiff, what does it do? And like it really, particularly with the Year 6s last year, they'll be like, what? Yeah, but Miss Tiff's going to give me an A, and I would show them. I would go click, 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 and it would show them the impact of sort of how their grades work. So it's a really good visual.
We were just having that conversation because Georgina goes, oh, we're getting an A for maths. I'm like, let's have a look at sector. Yes, A and A, but this one was a D, so that actually doesn't equal an A. She's like,
remember?
It gives them that knowledge that it's not that I'm crap, or like, you know, I just didn't do well on this assessment, but I did really well on these ones, and that this is how it's gonna.
The only thing I wish you did is you could print out the rubrics that you've got on there.
Yes.
You can't print them out, so when they're on there, it's not easy.
Those buttons haven't been enabled yet because that's a student sector thing, but we're getting there.
Because then you could have your comments in the bottom as well, and just then that would go straight to students.
Yeah.
One of my favourite moments last year was when reports came out second semester, and I had a parent call me that afternoon and say, just wondering why my child got a B, not an A for health and PE. And I was like, oh, let me show you my computer. And I was like, right.
Yeah.
And I said, these are the assessments, this is the grade, this is the rubric, this is how it was assessed. And this parent was like, great, thank you, no worries. And I was like, oh my God. Everything was right there.
So remember our Year 4 team are like way down the road of us. They've dabbled and like, you know.
But it wasn't as hard as we thought it was going to be, because we originally, our goal was one subject, and then we were like, oh, let's do it all. And
So they are good people to go to if you are dabbling in that space. Another person I would like to tap to share is Kylie Rosler.
I actually don't know what I'm going to use. I'm going to just stand so my back's not to anyone. I'm not really sure what I'm going to add to that, because basically I was doing the same thing. I haven't added my rubrics up to it, but every piece of assessment that I did, I popped on there. I played with the weighting sometimes, where I wanted something to be weighted more. I added even, not so much my official assessments, but like their bookwork. That might have been the percentage that went to it. It might have been class participation, especially for something where it was group work, you know, your design and tech things, that got a column as well. It made it really easy to see where you had students who were missing lots of assessments for whatever reason, you know. The students that don't hand up work manage to do avoidance tactics. The students who are away lots, that you had the choice of either leaving it blank, and if it was blank, then didn't affect their grade, or you gave them a 0 because they'd had lots of opportunities to do it anyway, and their parents had had lots of opportunities and they'd said yes they would, and they still didn't do it. You could put a 0 and that really affected their grade.
That's a really important one actually. Blank won't affect it, 0 will negatively affect it.
And there where you went, well, that was great. I sort of thought that'd be at. Being able to go, I'll roll with that, or going, no, I don't So easy, because all you're doing is adding your comments and doing your score values, and the rest is basically done for you.
And receptions, it is configured to do that with at, beyond, work towards, and if you've got towards at, it will calculate it and go overall they are this. So it knows how to reception.
Probably the only other thing is that I am old school a little bit. I still have paper copies for some things, and sometimes it's my symbols of like coloured circle means they did it really well. Star was, you know, you're achieving, and I just convert that to a number as I go in. Often above my paper records is what that number is when I'm putting it into sector, so that I'm consistent over the other subjects.
Thanks, Carly. Thanks for sharing. Because I don't teach classrooms in the way that you do, I think these are useful insights to have from how you guys are using it and how it applies to your playberries and your maths results and those sorts of things. Tom, you are the last person I would like to tap.
Probably not heaps to add. I've been playing around with it for a number of years now, progressively adding things each year. All my planning's on there, all my assessments are on there. I assess from the iPad because most of mine's performance-based. I'm watching the kids, so I can walk around and you touch the screen, flip to the next kid, touch the screen, flip to the next kid. Uploads it all. In saying that, not everything has to be a rubric. Particularly with the young years, I might do a score out of 3, working toward, and that's basically working towards, working out, working above, and sector works that out for you. Strongly recommend having a crack at it this year, maybe even just one term to see how you go. Once you've got the rubric, once you've got the planning, it's in there for good. So now I just look back, because I do a 2-year planning cycle, so I go back to 2024, roll everything over. I literally just did it then while Dan was talking, and my planning's pretty much done. I'll go through and I'll tweak things and I'll change things based on my comments that I've got in there, but my planning took a total of 15 minutes. But that's 3 years worth of adding things in across the time. So it is a lot of work to get to that point, but sector's here to stay. So the sooner you start working at it, you're actually going to save yourself lots of time in the long run.
So remember, you are dabbling. Thanks, Tom.
Yes.
You are you're starting this journey, and it is a couple of years before you're going to get to the point where you have everything you possibly could want. This is a kind of guesstimation, if you like, of what we are looking at. It'll probably change after some discussion, but in our journey, where I'd like it to be, you've got, for example, your English unit. Not all your individual lessons and assessments and all of that, just you've done a unit plan to say, yep, I had a dabble. English unit plan. If you've got week 1 start reading assessment, just a dabble so that it's there. Maybe you use add files and you upload your Word document, so we know you went in there and you've started. That's kind of where we're looking. You're still putting it in Teams, you're still doing all the existing things on the existing dates that you already have, and it might be that you've gone, we're all going to do this together, and you're going to do the Mark's book bit and you're going to do that, or figure that out. But that's kind of in my brain where I'm thinking is like one subject ready to go. The other thing that I think would be useful as a dabble, even if you don't actively start putting scores in it, is just to play with creating key assessments. I know it's different for different people, and I'm not saying to you, like the fancy Dibbles spreadsheet, you do not need to recreate that in Mark's book because it does all the bells and whistles. Don't do that. But if there are like key things that happen at certain times of the year that are easy, like grade letters or numerical scores, just make a space for those. If you want help to do that, I will help you to do that. If you want to do really complicated things, I will help you to do that. But this is kind of where I'm thinking, and Shirley, am I sort of in the right?
Yeah, I mean, I was, thinking English is big, as
Yeah.
everybody was saying. Like, I might even go with like a HAS unit, my geography unit or something like that, because it's fairly contained and a little bit less complex in terms of what would be weighted and how things would be weighted there. So, maybe pick a subject that's a bit standalone, or a maths unit would be good, particularly because if you've got open units that you're going from anyway, you've got the unit there and a
And you don't have to copy, like, so if you're working from a unit that exists somewhere else, you might in the planner just go refer Ochre week 2. And you like not copy and paste whole swathes of text from a beautiful unit plan that already exists somewhere else. Yeah. So there are some music things that I do. I copy the whole kit and caboodle, and there are other things where I'll just go ukulele book page 4, and that's the detail of that lesson. That's kind of what I have to say to you about things today.
Thank you, Jen.
You are welcome.